Okay, so today's lesson is about what to consider in your cost of goods. What you heard about setting retail price was that cost of goods plus margin, equals retail price, and that's how you go to market. Before you get to this point, you need to consider some things. So one is that this equation we've given you is a unit price. And that's per unit, right? So every time that you go to market, your per unit price is this equation. Before you get to these points, though, you need to do some work behind the scenes. It's never that easy. You heard from retail price that it's not that easy. You want to almost back up another step and take a look at cost and what it costs you to truly make a product. And so what do I mean by that? You really need to take cost and kind of break it out into these three things. So direct materials, direct labor, and direct overhead. And so first of all, what do I mean by direct? So direct is really what's involved in actually making the product. So, you know, that you had to drive somewhere to pick up product isn't included in that cost, but the actual the actual prototypes that you use, the samples you use, the highest possible cost for your ingredients are all part of the direct cost. In fact, in some cases, if you wanted to be pure about direct materials, you could take out prototypes and you could take out samples because this is almost startup cost and not actual cost. Okay, so what you really want here is you want the actual materials that go into your product, the actual labor that goes into building, making or building, the packing, and the shipping of the product. So these things are direct labor costs. And then the last one is overhead. So electricity and the fees you have to pay. So if you're a safety product, you get it certified. If you're FDA product and you need to get licensed or you need FDA certification or CSA, any of those sort of things would go in here as well. And then obviously rent. So these things are really big things and they're very big picture things. And what you need to do is, all this leads to, the next lesson. But these are considerations that you need to put in there is you need a forecast. And so, everyone doesn't want to dream big, right? Because everyone wants to make something, or some people want to dream big and not think about the little things, but you really need to, as part of your exercise here is to be a brand owner or a true business is to think big to small and small to big. So you need to be able to make that movement and go from, making one widget, that's my widget, into being able to build a market, and be able to chart your growth. So these things are all part of this. These factors turn into a big picture cost, which allow you to divide into the number of units that you want to be able to sell or that you think you're going to sell. And you can do this over any time frame. Ideally, a year is best. But if you're a seasonal business or that sort of thing, you can go. What I would suggest is that you break it into cohesive units so that you can forecast out. So let's say you're a seasonal business, you only want to do 12 weeks. You could do a 12-week forecast that could easily turn into a 26-week forecast, which is half a year, and then that could turn into a 52-week forecast, which is for the year. These things all matter. It does make a difference. What I would say is you really need to think about that in terms of how long-term you want to be, because all of that will lead to how you calculate this number. Okay, and that's how you consider cost of goods.